about laws, the laws of optics, the laws of physics. We have found out that those laws were not fingered by God on stone on Mount Sinai and handed to Moses, that they were simply the observations, the best observations that could be made by men, and they're not laws at all. And we need to keep that in mind. Okay, let's go to George. Hi, George.
Hello.
You're on.
Several short things. First, Bill, this is the second time I've listened to your program, and I bitterly regret that I haven't heard all of those that preceded it.
Well, thank you, George. How nice of you.
It's a fascinating program tonight. The name of the poor fellow who tried to get the doctors in the Viennese maternity wards to wash their hands was Ignaz Semmelweis.
Right, thank you.
I have a suggestion. You're saying you're urging the listeners to write to hospitals and to
research
the
organizations,
conventional research sources, and I think that's a waste of time. There are just too many millions of sincere man-hours of research on the surgical and drug-based cures for disease, too many professional reputations, too many egos, and too many high salaries for anybody to ever crack with research money for you. If you're going to get any research money, you're going to have to go somewhere else. I suggest the electronics industry. Their reputations, about which they're equally rigid, aren't tied up with conventional allopathic medicine.
Very good idea, George.
Very good.
I would like to ask if either Steve or Laverne is around the Institute during the week. I'd like to talk when I'm not limited by Bill's obvious constraints on time.
Yes, we're around there all during the week, regular hours.
8 to 5, something like that?
Yes, 8:30 to 5:30 in the office.
Actually, from 8 o'clock till 11:30 at night, but we're only open until 5:30.
That's a bad working habit to get into.
They sometimes spend 24 hours a day.
Right.
Okay. I would like to call you sometime next week. I have some real suggestions.
Please do. We'd appreciate that.
It's that kind of interest, George, and those kind of ideas that
or worthwhile to go to tomorrow's.
It certainly is, and I will be there.
Oh, I look forward to meeting you.
All right, I look forward to meeting you.
Let me congratulate you again on an absolutely fascinating program.
Well, George, I thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing. You obviously made a point of keeping the location of the microscope, and I had the impression the name of his assistant to yourselves, and I think that was a very good idea. I think that care should be maintained in the future.
It will be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
much. All
much.
right, George. You see, the real genius is out there among the people, not among necessarily the bushy brains of academia. You're on, Andre.
Oh, hi, Bill. How are you?
All right.
Okay. Well, since I'm involved with biomagnetics and all that, I'd like to ask about the electron microscope. You mentioned that. If I understand it right, no living material can be exposed in an electron microscope because it would kill it. And in this microscope, it actually saw the viruses living and swimming around and so forth?
Well, in most of the cases, again, in the electron, this is what happens when a specimen is put in a complete vacuum and bombarded by electrons. Now, with the Rife microscope, living organisms could be viewed for hours and hours on end in a natural state. But here's even something more fascinating. The lens, the actual slide, did not have to be stained. Now, it was a concern that Rife and the other individuals had that when you stain slides, you are already altering the appearance of those microbes. And with this principle, you were not staining the slide either, and they felt you were looking at the genuine microbe, virus, or bacteria.
Yeah, and one thing about this generator, now this is separate from the microscope, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is this, you're talking about radio waves, electromagnetic waves, and is this in combination with with permanent magnets, or is this just like a radio generator?
It was a radio generator, and he also ran the frequency through a tube that had a gas in it. There was a little bit more to it. As I said, this is one of those things that a little bit of information can be dangerous. So we're not being able to explain and visibly show the entire device. Basically, it was a generator where he ran the waves through a tube that had a gas in it, and that went directly towards the body. He never touched the physical body. It was projected at the body.
Some caller a while ago talked about Nikola Tesla, and Tesla was coming up with an X-ray device before Röntgen. I hope I pronounced that right. And this sounds a bit like what Tesla had.
I think you can trace so many things back to Nikola Tesla and what he was doing in the turn of the century. This is why we would just not doubt that there was a knowledge, there was an awareness. Rife certainly knew all about Nikola Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Okay, two final quick questions. Have you ever heard of a cancer holistic healer named Norman Baker in the 20s?
No.
Well, he operated a clinic in a little city called Muscatine, Iowa, and he got in conflict with the AMA, and they got after him and so forth. But he was using vitamin A way back then, which, of course, the establishment now is touting as a cancer preventative and treatment. So it shows you, a lot of treatments were around in the 20s and the 30s, but they were suppressed. And could you give your address again and perhaps your phone number?
The address is 15300 Ventura Boulevard, Suite 405, Sherman Oaks, California, 91403.
Okay.
And the phone number is area code 818-907-LIVE, L-I-V-E.
That's a good phone number.
Easy to remember.
Yes. I wonder if John Bedini might be interested in this device. If he looked it over, perhaps you could ask Bill Jenkins about that. And
well, I know that John Bedini has been meticulously through the foundation and is quite familiar with the microscope and the generator and how to make it.
Hey, that's great. Well, I'll try to make it to the Health Health Expo next...
The Whole Life Expo.
Whole Life, yes. Okay. I really enjoy your show. This is really great.
All right, Andre, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
We're 22 minutes past 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, and we're talking to Jim. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Bill,
Yeah.
Steve, and Laverne. I won't keep you long because your previous caller basically has had you answer most of the questions about frequencies. I was wondering whether it was sound waves or radio waves, because you had mentioned that in one of the experiments, a certain shape of glass had broken. So I was taking it to be sound waves, although you're saying now it's radio waves. Is that my understanding?
No, you're correct in that they were experimenting with a wide range of frequencies, and that one day, that one letter, that one paragraph of one doctor writing to the other was that particular comment that something had gone haywire with the device. It had kicked up to a range, and he did not write in the letter what it was, but that was the effect it came, that it literally destroyed every test specimen. The animals were all fully alive and well. It destroyed all the microorganisms simultaneously, which was even hard for us to believe, but I'm just reporting what the letter said.
Then it was some sound type of frequency, whether it was in the hearing range or not at
Right.
that point. And you were saying that a millisecond was enough. Why wouldn't we have heard that frequency naturally during our lifetimes? That would have wiped out all of the apparent diseases at the time. If it's only necessary for it to last a millisecond, we listen to a variety of frequencies of sound all day.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't we have stumbled across that frequency?
It may be that we have, but I'm not sure that we would even be able to acknowledge that we had. I mean, we do hear certain things that seem to make us feel much better.
Yes.
So it may be in the course of a lifetime that you have stumbled across such a frequency, and that's why you may not have had such a problem. But at least with this device, we'd be able to duplicate it and knowingly be able to use